Excited to be with you today. Today we're going to talk for about 15-20 minutes on some ideas to help us build a plan that'll support building a business. This is not a how to build a business plan, but rather ideas on how you can support the business plan that you built. If you guys have not yet built a business plan, it's something that right now is a really good time to do it. We got, a little more than a month before the new year starts. So I really suggest that all of us take the time right now to build out our business plan, build out our goals and the things that we want to achieve. So today I'm going to talk about 5 or 6 different ideas to help us stay on track and stay focused through the course of working on our business plan over the next year. So if you have any questions or anything, go and throw them in the comment box and I'll try my best to address them. And if there's anything I can do to support, shoot me a quick DM. So the first thing I wrote down is it all starts with setting a very strict and specific goal and then backing it up with a 12-month plan to support it. So I think that the easiest way to look at this is, let's say that we have set a goal to do 40 deals in the next year. Then you're going to work backwards and actually figure out how many actual work days you're going to have. And I'm just going to use simple math, but if you take out weekends, holidays, sick days, personal days, vacations, all these different things, let's just say that you are taking more time off and you're going to focus on quality of life and all those different things, and you're only going to work 200 days actual working in the business in 2021. Well, what that means for you is if you want to do 40 deals, that means every 4 days you need to be getting a deal under contract or closed. So use that metric to help you kind of build out your business plan. And then I would look in the rearview mirror of your last year's worth of production and write out every single transaction you did and where that came from. Did it come from your database? Was it leads that you bought? Where did you buy them from? Was it calling expireds by owners? What was it? So that you have a clear understanding of where your business came from for the last 12 months. And then you can look at that to develop a plan of where you're going to focus your energy, where there's still fruit left on the tree, so that you can focus on expanding that and then maybe finding 1 or 2 additional streams of transactions to build into it. So again, setting a very strict and specific goal and writing up a 12-month plan to support it. The second thing I wrote up is set up both internal and external accountability systems. The reality is in any sort of business where you're your own boss, you have to be checked in on all the time. And if you had a real job working at Google or IBM or whatever it may be, you're going to have a supervisor that's continuously checking in on your progress, asking for reports, making sure you're going through the right systems and checklists and you're doing what you're supposed to do. So oftentimes as an agent, a lot of us don't have that. So it's really important that we set up both internal and external accountability systems to help us stay on track with our business plan. An example of an internal could be as simple as commitments to yourself, but it could be as aggressive as going out and incurring some new bills, right? Maybe you're thinking about getting that new car or upgrading your house or putting a down payment on a vacation or whatever it may be. Those are some good internal accountability that you could put into your business. External is talking to your friends, the people closest to you in your life, and telling them what your goals are, what your plans are, and asking them to help keep you accountable and keep you on track and maybe have them check in on you. You can also do this with people in your office, setting up accountability partners where you're talking on a daily or weekly basis about what you're going to do that week and then sharing the progress that you had from the prior week or prior day. And a big part of this is being real with yourself on how do you respond to accountability, right? We all know that we need it. And if you don't know that you need it, I strongly urge you to reprogram that part of your brain. We all need accountability to keep us on track and make sure that we're doing things that we don't feel like doing. So if you are the type of person that does not respond well to accountability, take the time up front and kind of reprogram and convince yourself that this is what you need if you really want to reach your goals next year. Number 3 is setting up a daily schedule designed to get you to the goal. The schedule has to equal the goal. I'm going to say that again. The schedule you build has to equal the goal that you've set. So when we go back to that equation of, if I want to do 40 deals, and I'm going to work 200 days, I would go into my calendar up front and out in my calendar for the full year, the things that I'm going to be doing every week, so that when I show up to the office and I'm, or wherever you're working, I know what I'm supposed to do that day, right? It becomes so much easier when you don't show up and try to figure out what you're going to do that day. And what that oftentimes turns into is a lot of busy work. But if I know that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, it's built into my calendar and my schedule, and it's reflective of the goal that I'm trying to reach, then all I have to do is simply show up day to day, week by week, every day that I'm working, and work on the things that I already said I believe to be in line with reaching my goals. And then you get to just put your head down and work away, as opposed to trying to figure out what to do that day and end up possibly wasting time and precious energy. So it's really important that we take the time to build it out in advance. And also, I really suggest that you take the time to review your goals on a daily basis, and your schedule. So every night before you go to bed, review what your schedule is for tomorrow. Like if I open my calendar, I have hour by hour the things that I'm doing, either calls, phone calls, or stuff that I'm working on my own, to work towards the goals that we've set. So it's all about reviewing your goals on a regular basis, but at the same time, just as importantly, it's about reviewing your schedule and always making sure that you're on track and you're doing the things that you're supposed to do. Because if we don't, we know how that goes. Things get lost, things get forgotten, and we start to lose our traction and our motivation. Next thing I wrote down, number 4, it's critical that 80% of our day has to be involved in income producing activities. So as you start to build out your schedule, if you're finding stuff that isn't income producing, that's something you should strongly consider outsourcing to someone else, or figuring out if it actually has to happen, and if not, eliminating it from your day-to-day activities. And then working on building out your schedule so that 80% of your time is actually spent on producing transactions and helping you produce the income goal that you've set for yourself for the year. So, if you're not working on lead follow-up, if you're not working on outbound dialing, if you're not working on any sort of attention getting and conversion, if you're not on appointments, these are the things that are income producing. A lot of other stuff like working on your website, or if you don't have a transaction manager and you're coordinating your own transactions, it's easy to think that the transaction coordinating is income producing, but the reality is it's not. It's just fulfilling on the completion of the income producing activity that you did prior. So really look at your schedule and look at your day-to-day and take inventory of what are the things that I'm doing on a regular basis, and then ask yourself, are these things in line with the income goal that I've set? And are these things in line with, reaching my goals? If I have to get back to that equation, a deal every 5 days, are the things that I'm doing actually helping me get there? And if they're not, then we need to eliminate them or outsource them. A really good activity that you can work on is, for the next week, take a very strong notes on what you do every hour by the hour. So let's say you start working at 8 or 9 or whatever it is. Keep a log of what you did from 8 to 9 o'clock, 9 to 10 o'clock, and do that for a full week. And then you can go back and review it and check out where you're spending a lot of your time. And then what's really fun is putting a dollar amount next to that hour of what it would have cost to have someone else do that work for you, someone that you could delegate it to. It doesn't have to be a full-time assistant. These can be outsourced VAs. They could be per task people through something like TaskRabbit. Because let's say that your goal is to make $400,000 in 2021, and you know that you're going to be working X amount of hours. That gives you, let's just say you're going to work full-time 40 hours a week and you want to make $400,000. That means you need to make somewhere around $200 per hour that you're working. So if you're doing things that you can outsource to someone else for $15, $20 an hour, instead of you spending your time doing that, you're always going to win as long as you replace that with the $200 an hour activity, the income producing stuff. So always look at the time that you're spending and ask yourself, is this making me what I need to make per hour in order to stay on track with the goals and the plan that I've set? And if not, you have to do whatever it takes to find ways to outsource those. So some cool tools that you can use is something like Upwork.com to outsource to VAs both in and out of the country. You can use Fiverr for certain activities, Fiverr.com. And you can also look at TaskRabbit.com. And TaskRabbit lets you outsource things to people in your local community. So for instance, a lot of us obviously aren't doing open houses right now, but as example, instead of setting up your own signs, you can find someone on TaskRabbit that can be doing the sign setup and sign breakdown for you, so that let's say hour and a half of that work is now done by someone else. So you could spend that time on lead follow-up or whatever it may be, and also show up to your open house extra fresh. So there's a lot of things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis that have to be done. But oftentimes there's a lot of people out there that you can outsource these things to and have them take that low income producing or low cost of outsourcing off of your plate and have someone else do that work for you. So again, you can focus on the real income producing activities that are in line with reaching your income goal for the year based off of the amount of hours that you're actually going to work. Number 5, everybody should always be working on developing a list of a minimum of 1,000 people in your database. So I would start by using an app called MC Backup. Our friend Kevin Markarian always talks about that. MC Backup will sync up with your phone. It'll pull everybody off your phone into an Excel file. And if they're on your phone, they're probably, a good chance they should be in your database. So now I have my MC Backup that's given me my first list. And then you could go to Mike Ferry's website, go to mikeferry.com, create a free account, and go to complimentary downloads. It's under the product section, and download the Developing a Sphere of Influence PDF. And what that is it's a memory jogger, and it lists, maybe like 80 different professions, from accountant to, yoga instructor and everything in between. And then you can jog your memory by looking at these categories and saying, oh my gosh, my yoga instructor, I talk to this person all the time, but I've never put them into my database. I'm never marketing to them. I'm not asking them for referrals. So by using MC Backup and then using this memory jogger, it gives you a good start to developing a strong base for your database, your sphere of influence. And then your goal is on a weekly basis to continue to add people to that. And it's just about turning on that part of your brain where, when you meet people, when you talk to people, when you're engaging with people in both social and in business environments, that you remember to ask yourself if this is someone that should be in your database, and then taking the steps to work towards getting your database to a minimum of 1,000 people. If we all had 1,000 strong people in our database, there's no reason you couldn't be doing 100 to 200 deals a year, right? A good rule of thumb is the amount of people in your database, 10 to 20% of that number transactions, either by them doing deals or by them sending you referrals of people that they know. And then the last point I have for us for today is commit to doing X number of hours of prospecting a day in contacts per day. Look, I don't care if it's cold calling expireds by owners, circle dialing, whatever it may be, or if it's calling your leads that you've bought from a portal or you've generated online, if you don't have the minimum standard of the amount of hours you're going to spend per day and contacts you're going to make per day, then you're just hoping and praying that you're going to reach your goals. The reality is it's impossible to do big volume without talking to big people. And then the challenge obviously comes with a higher level of production. You're going to start to feel unbalanced, and that's normal, right? You have to be able to quiet the noise and focus on the things that are actually going to move the needle, talking to more people, doing your lead follow-up, and all these different things that you've heard about many, many times in order to stay on track with your goals. So let me make sure I don't have anything else there. Oh, I do have a couple more. Number 7 is determine the methods of prospecting you're going to do. If you avoid the ones with higher objection, you're probably avoiding the ones with the highest amount of conversion. So be real with that. Who are you calling, and are you avoiding the ones that are tough? And if you're avoiding the ones that are tough, is it because you have not yet learned the scripts and how to have those communication? Or is it because of any other reason? So be very real to where you're deploying your energy when it comes to prospecting, and make sure that you're prospecting behind the right people, the right data, the right categories that are in line with helping you reach your goal. Last thing I have is to always be tracking and learning from your numbers. What I mean by that is, when I coach agents after working with them for a little while, eventually they know that every 68 contacts, or whatever the number is, every 68 contacts they make, they get an appointment. And now you can really build your schedule around that 68 contact ratio. You can build your business plan around that 68 contact ratio. And when you know your numbers, then there's really no guessing, right? And all of a sudden, when you're off track and on track. And the nice thing about knowing your numbers is when I know that 68 contacts equal an appointment, what happens is my perspective changes, where I'm not so much looking for the yeses, rather I'm counting down the no's. I know I need to get 67 no's in order to get that contract. And now I'm not as bothered, embarrassed, rejected every time I get a no. Instead, I know that, man, I got to get through these no's to get to the yes. All the yeses you're looking for when you're prospecting any sort of category of leads or numbers is the yes is surrounded by a bunch of no's. And when you start to track and know your numbers, then you know how many no's you have to go through in order to find the yes that you're looking for. I hope this helps. If there's anything that I or any of us can do to support, please let me know. Make it a great Thursday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and stay motivated. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.